Hello and welcome back to Behind the Bands, a show where we get a closer look at local musicians and artists performing in the area. We're your hosts, Yaneli Lopez.
And Jordy Goss.
On today's episode, we are getting to know a band that has been active within the Joplin music scene for over 20 years, experimenting with so many sounds that are hard to pin down.
Today, we are getting to know and listen to The Itch. The Itch plans to start off the night with their song, The Dynamics of Rural Living.
They say, pack their bags and wave. The farewell parties are bittersweet. One last chance before the goodbyes. Nibbling at our ankles, we look at the vanishing point. Imagine our own goodbyes as the car breaks the horizon. A mumbled prayer, cross our lips, uttered phrase, so darn it quit. You should come back and visit. It'd be nice to see you again. It's the furthest thing from their minds. Curse is placed, the trap is set. People are far too good to just leave behind. The patient hunter and knows that things are cyclical. No matter how far you go, you're on your way back. Topics claim another victim as they wonder how it picked them. Dip one toe in, your leg is black. Now it's up to the waist, your breathing slacks. Tar pit wrings its hands, anticipates your demands. Covers up the pit with purple sunsets and nostalgia. Blink once, you're home with friends. Blink twice, you're stuck again. Liquid libations and smoke inhalations only slow your reflexes. I'd like to leave, but I'd miss my friends. I'll leave, and I get some money saved. Yeah, I'd like to leave, but it's just not the right time. I'll go someday as the tar pit thickens. The patient hunter and knows that things are cynical. No matter how far you go, you're on your way back. The tar pit claims another victim as it wonders how it picked them. Dip one toe in, your leg is black. Now it's up to the waist, your breathing slacks. Times I wonder if we'll all be trapped in amber, frozen in time in the place that left us behind. Our descendants will look in and see the mess we were in. Wonder what circumstances led to our demise. As they check out the history books and they view the old slides, they fail to notice the same circumstance in their own lives. This town is always hungry. This town is never full. It always wants another victim, another complacent fool. It's the patient hunter and know that things are cynical. No matter how far you go, you're on your way back. Tar pit claims another victim as it wonders how it picked them. Dip one toe in, your leg is black. Now it's up to the waist, your bleeding slacks.
And that was The Dynamics of Rural Living by The Itch. And the members of The Itch, Dan, Eric, and Dustin, are here to join us. How are you guys doing today?
No,
We're doing great. It's nice to meet you guys.
Nice to have you guys on the show.
Tell us about the dynamics of rural living.
Where to start with this song? I wrote this song after hanging out on my porch for a couple of evenings, and I've lived in Joplin my entire life. I've never moved away, never came back, or anything. And sometimes I feel trapped here, like I can't get out. And we have a lot of friends that feel the same way, I believe. And a lot of people like to blame Joplin as an entity that gets this villainous structure that's keeping them here. And really the reality is everybody makes their own decisions of why you live where you live. And you can either decide to be a victim and stay here and say, woe is me, or you can, actually try to live in the city you're in and make it maybe a little bit better. And I know it's weird to say it because when you listen to the song, it could say like, Joplin stinks. And I don't like it, and it stinks being here. But I don't want it to be like that way at all. I love Joplin, but it's a healthy love. I love it for what I know it is, and its faults and its advantages. And the whole song is basically a meditation of me figuring out like why I live here and why I did not ever move away. You have anything to say about it, or?
Well, I mean, songs, can mean a lot of different things to different people. I mean, I took the song as, when I first heard about it, as kind of, lamenting decisions you could have made and feeling stuck here. But, I mean, the lyrics can go both ways in that song. And so, I think it relates to people who live in small towns and who live in places where, because the dynamics of living in a small town, like everything's kind of magnified in front of you, homelessness is magnified, drug addiction, mental illness can all be magnified. And so, when you see those things on a local level, because it's a smaller town, it's a little bit different view on things than, when you go to like a highly dense urban area, and like those kinds of situations just are kind of, they don't have a face, they're just huge issues. Here they're a lot more small and they're a lot more easy to analyze, and it just creates for a different, magnifying lens on, living in a small town that has, urban problems. It's that. So that's kind of my take on the song.
Yeah, one thing that we like doing with our songs is it means something different to everybody, and we don't really try to change it and say like, no, you can't. It's not like that. It has to fit in this little box. We don't like boxes. Whatever you think the song is, it's what it means, probably, to
That's
you.
what makes the song better is you can interpret your own way and then obviously love it your own different way.
And that's what we like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
we're
is
the
good.
same way.
So we do know the band has been around for many, many years. You guys are the two original, and you have been with them, I think you said 20s.
So I've been with them since 2007.
2007.
2007.
So can you guys tell us how you guys started the band?
Yeah, we started the band out of boredom, really. And we had both been in bands before, but I was a drummer and Dan was a lead vocalist. And Dan did not want to be a lead vocalist anymore, and I did not want to be a drummer anymore. So he told me to learn guitar, and he was going to call me in a few weeks. It might have been a few months. We debate about that. But at some point he called me, maybe 6 to 7 months, and said, "Can you play guitar yet?" I said, "No." And then we started practicing. And then I said, I want to practice for a while and get our grips. And we played our first show maybe 2 weeks later. And it wasn't really great, but it was memorable.
Yeah.
So I remember that show more than I remember a lot of other shows we played. So
It was going to be a band. It was only supposed to last a year because Eric was going to move, and so it was just going to be kind of like an excuse to learn an instrument. And instead it just turned into this like more of an excuse to hang out and travel, like because we don't make money playing in this band. We've never really asked for a guarantee or money, and some people could be like, well, you're wasting your money, or we're having really cheap vacations where we get to go see people that we want to hang out with for a lot less money than it normally would be. So I think that became kind of like a motivating force, was to just get out and see the country, and then play weird places that people don't normally play, playing really small towns sometimes, because when we were growing up, there wasn't a lot of music that came through Joplin. It was a very, kind of sheltered community. And so, when a band would come through, we would talk about them for years and remember them and just, freak out on their music. And, You know, so that means a lot to us playing in towns that don't have a lot of exposure to other things, you know. I mean, this is also pre-internet, so I mean, you get to learn a lot of things now that you wouldn't normally, you know, get to see. But, you know, when we started this, it was about that experience of being in the band and traveling rather than any kind of objective about like a career. There was no careerism in this decision, you know.
So what prompted you to join the band?
They contacted me.
Oh.
So I at that time I had kind of fallen into where I wasn't in contact with a lot of people, and Eric one day he kind of greased the wheel by contacting me through MySpace, so that dates us a little bit. And they had me come out to their Black Friday show, and then they were like, and I was like, well, if you guys are looking for a bass player, get a hold of me. And he was like, okay, and then we just started practicing, and it kind of all gelled together. It worked.
Yeah, and one thing about us is like Dustin caught us on the end of a tour where me and Dan did, where our bass player quit, and instead of canceling tour, we just went by me and Dan, and we played without a bass player, and we went, I mean, pretty far.
Well, yeah,
It was a 2-week tour, 2.5
was a
week
2-week
tour.
tour.
For us, it's a long time. But we have jobs.
We have jobs, yeah.
So you can't,
You know.
you can't you tell your job you need 2.5 weeks off to go play rock and roll. They're like, they're like, well, then go find another job when you come back. And we're like, hope you make enough money on tour to quit your job. I'm like, nope, no, we will not. But so when we came back, we were advantageous enough to actually have played maybe 10 to 14 shows in a row. So it really looked like we knew what we were doing when Dustin saw us. And I think we certifiably impressed him because we love Dustin. He was in other bands with Dan, and we've known him forever. And bands are like a small family. And the mix of everyone throws everything else off. It's like a stew. If you put the wrong thing in it, it's bleh, and it has to go, and you have to take it all out or start all over again.
So very briefly, can you describe the next song we're going to take listen to called Most Dangerous Game?
Yeah, I wrote that song. It was based off of a short story I read when I was in school, but it was a reference to humans being the most dangerous game, like hunting. But I wrote it as if one of my family members was in Vietnam and came back with a lot of PTSD, and it's a song kind of like him adjusting to civilian life after being in a hostile environment and having to deal with the PTSD and being good at this skill that people don't understand and not knowing how to adapt, being good at something that scares people. So it explores PTSD. It explores, returning from combat. I'm not a veteran or anything, but most of my family members have struggled with those feelings for the most part in the 20th century, and so I had the unique situation of having family members that were really old. My grandfather actually fought in World War I, so I had aunts and uncles who fought in World War II in Korea, and then my cousin fought in Vietnam because he was significantly older than me. So I had this very unique family oral tradition of, these veterans coming back home and dealing with those things. And so that song is mostly about the perspective of somebody coming back and trying to explain what they've done and how they lived and not feeling like they can fit in anymore.
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like a lot of songs don't reach into that category, so
Yeah.
unfortunately. But okay, so we're going to go ahead and take a listen to that song then.
All right.
Here's The Itch with Most Dangerous Game.
And that was Most Dangerous Game by The Itch. So have you guys traveled or do you guys do traveling?
Yeah, one of the best things about being in a band is us being able to go and travel and see friends and see their cities and
Eat different food.
eat different foods and whatever. And it's not extensive. I mean, me and Dan are approaching 50. So it's, we have commitments here and stuff, so we can't do as much as we can. But, you know, we will go out maybe like a 4-hour drive, 5-hour drive, come back and be home by Monday so we can go back to work at our weekend warrior jobs. And I guess not a weekend warrior job, it's a regular job. But we all have 9 to 5
Yeah.
kind of jobs. Dustin, a night shift bartender. So
Yeah.
yeah, but traveling's one of the best parts of it. I think so. What do you think, Dan?
I mean, for me, I like going and seeing people. You know, if we want to go see a friend in Chicago, we go to Chicago. You know, I had family down in New Orleans. Whenever Katrina happened, we went down there and played a show in New Orleans right after Katrina. I think we were one of the first live shows after the hurricane.
I think so.
Like things like that, just like wherever we wanted to go, we would just go. And when you plan shows because of wanting to have an experience rather than planning shows about the big attendance or, you know, making money, it changes the chemistry about where you're going to go and what you're going to do. Because I'm more interested in seeing people and having those relationships with them than, you know, any kind of like financial gain, you know.
Yeah, it's amazing what not charging people to play will get you. You get to play a lot of interesting places, and that's why we do it.
Some desperation at times, but you know, I mean,
Yeah.
you roll with the punches.
You make it work.
Rolling
Make it
with the
work.
punches. Thank you. Thank you. That's awesome.
It's true, true.
Let's go ahead and take a listen to our second song, Second and Wall by The Itch.
Take a look at me now, of a broken man, not by fate or greed, but by chance's hand. Took a wrong turn, ended up in hell. Just another bastard with a sad story to tell. Who has so many lines that I lost track. I lost count and forgot to go back. Can anyone remember the bad things I've done? Catalogs are hanging, no matter what you've done. I wanna run, I wanna hide, and I never wanna see this town again. And when I die, I will haunt you, 'cause I never wanna see this town again. I took my time, I took my chances. My life will pass in front of the masses. You people gather round to ask why. Hard with the crowd yelling, hang 'em high. Now screams for blood, blood they're gonna get. This will be a day the kids will never forget. Living on a train, living on a rope. Nothing like your death to lower your hopes. I wanna run, wanna hide. I never wanna see this town again. And when I die, I will haunt you. 'Cause I never wanna see this town again. Hey! Wanna run, wanna hide. And I never wanna see this town again. And when I die, I won't haunt you. 'Cause I never wanna see this town again.
And that was Second and Wall. We're here back with The Itch. So do you guys have your own studio or how do you go about recording your music?
Well, we don't have our own studio, but we do have a lot of friends who record, and you know, mostly, you know, like we were working with a record label from out of Springfield for most of our time called We Rock Records, and I think we put out 4 or 5 records with them, and the people who own that label, they had a basement studio. So almost all of our recordings have been done in a basement studio somewhere. Some of them have been digital. Quite a few of them have been analog, recording on a reel-to-reel, because we like that sound for a bit. This latest recording we're doing with Tim Cody here in Joplin, and this next album that we're putting out is called Men in Dust, and it's going to be all Joplin, all Southwest Missouri. The sound engineers from Joplin, all the artists from it are people that have lived in Joplin. We're actually getting the records pressed at National Audio, which is in Springfield, and they're pulling them from Canada, but we ordered them through a Springfield place. So that regionalism is really important to us, because one of the things that, with a lot of people pursuing, kind of like trying to pursue careers in bands, they either move away or they give up. But we don't really have a good infrastructure for music, creating music. There's not a lot of record labels. There's not a lot of recording studios. There's barely even any promotion companies. And it's because, we don't have that infrastructure. And so one of the things we try to do is encourage that by making it localized and using local people and local resources. I guess it's, in a way, it's kind of an organic band. We're like locally grown, And so that's a thing that's really important to us, because, when we were growing up, we did not have those opportunities. And if you wanted to do music, you would have to leave town, And so once you take that out of the equation, though, it makes it a lot easier, because if you tried making money from it, you would be very disappointed. Next thing you know, you're giving guitar lessons to people.
That's true.
Well,
thank you guys so much for talking with us
yeah.
tonight.
Thanks for having us out.
Thanks for having us.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. That wraps up this episode of Behind the Bands. Tune in next time when more phenomenal musicians of the area come to show their talent.
If you're a musician who wants to be featured on our show, all you need to do is contact us through the KGCS Facebook page. We're your host, Jordy Goss.
And I'm Yaneli Lopez. Thank you all for watching, and we'll end this show with one more song by The Itch. Here is Little I Is Me. Thank you all and have a good night.
Little lies me, little lies me, little lies me, baby.